I'm going to take this opportunity now to present the presenter, Monique Ingalls, and then from that point, they will introduce themselves. So Monique, welcome.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. And good evening to our, was it good afternoon, good morning, good evening to those who are joining us online. We are so pleased that you are here today, and we're very excited to share the fruits of a particular project that was started in spring of 2021, but that is ongoing. So at the very end, we will give you a save the date for launch 2.0 of this, of what I think is an exciting, and I mean, one of the most meaningful projects I've worked on in my career. I am a church music professor at Baylor, associate professor of music, and the director of research and graduate programs within the Center for Christian Music Studies at Baylor University. And we had a unique opportunity to partner with the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary for a course in spring 2021. We are partnering with that seminary again for another round of the same course this fall, and we're doing even more integration of our own doctoral students and their doctoral students. So it has been a wonderful opportunity to get to know people that we might not otherwise have met. And this all came about because of a global pandemic, because we were all online and we thought, you know, the seminary reached out and said, hey, all of our classes are online anyway, want to teach one? And at Baylor, we said, sure. And so, so this partnership resulted. And I'd like to, if you'll go to the next slide, just so that's the unique opportunity. We had a Zoom course with these 6 doctoral students and kind of a rotating series of lecturers and conversation partners with over the course of the spring semester. If you go to the next slide. But the co-presenters that I've invited with me, these are all, they were doctoral students, but also they are professors as well. And in fact, I would say in the left to right, the Reverend Dr. Ayobami, Ayanyinka recently graduated with her PhD and teaches church music at the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary. You see Miss Talani Chesirri Muma Emmanuella and the Reverend Matthew Voke Emojefe Amuro, who will introduce themselves to you in just a moment. But just to give you a sense of what we'll be doing today, the next slide shows the presentation outline. So what we're going to do, my colleagues will introduce themselves to you. They are coming to you from Ogbomosho and places, I'm not sure where Reverend Matthew, no, they're all in Ogbomosho, Nigeria this evening for them. But we'll talk some about church music challenges from both the Nigerian and the North American perspective. We'll do some singing. We'd like to take you on a tour to discuss the birth of this resource that we have called Nigerian Christian Songs. And then at the end, we'll talk about the uses of the website, how we hope that it is useful to those in the university, in the church, and classrooms beyond. And then hopefully by the end of that, we'll have some time for Q&A. But I want to, as Brian kind of shifts the screen, would like to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves and then talk a little bit about the challenges that you see within church music in Nigeria from your perspective. So we have, let's see, Emmanuella, and then Matthew and Ayobami. If you'll unmute yourselves, and yeah, great to have you.
I am Chesirri Muma Emmanuella. It's a great opportunity for me to be part of this anniversary celebration this year. I am a lecturer in the Faculty of Church Music, and I teach worship and music-related courses. I am also a PhD student, and my area of interest is contextualization of worship in different contexts. I am married, and I have a son. I worship with the Victory Baptist Church, Isale General here in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to be here today. The Nigerian church face some challenges, and one of them is that we have the challenge of meeting the needs of diverse cultures within the Nigerian church. The reason being that there are different cultural groups and ethnic groups in Nigeria. And so every church or every congregation you get to, you discover that there are different ethnic groups. And we face the challenge of finding a repertoire, a song repertoire in the different languages and musical styles that can meet the needs of the people. In the course of building this website or in the course of the research, we discovered that most churches and most music ministers and worship leaders, they face these challenges of how to meet the needs of these different people. I pray that as we go in the course of this presentation, we will see how the website will go ahead to solve some of these problems. Thank you.
Hello.
Unmute yourself.
My name is Matthew. I'm on mute. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. My name is Matthew Amuro. I am a PhD student, PhD candidate in the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary here in Ogbomoso. I am also a lecturer at the Baptist Theological Seminary in Eku, southern part of Nigeria. I also pastor a local village church part-time. I am going to talk about some of those challenges we face. Trying to get music that fits, that unites our congregation. Africans, we are so engrossed. We are a people of culture, and our culture is religious in all ramifications. And so we like to demonstrate our worship. But we have this problem of, the old people, the young, and the middle class, those of the middle age. When the missionaries came and they left us with Western music, and many of our old folks like the music that mostly hymns, and those ones that are slow in tempo, but we also have the new generation influenced by the new internet age who want the new gospel. So how do we unify these two spectrum? We thank God that we also have a situation of where we have to dig into the culture. We do that unification mostly by exploring our cultural music. And so you see this interface between English and the local languages in the way we do our music. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm also delighted to be here this evening. It's a great conference. We have been following along since 2:30 p.m. in our own time here, and it has been a blessing to us. My name is Reverend Dr. Ayobami Ayanyinka. I'm married with 3 sons. I'm the only girl in the seminary here since 2016, and I teach music and worship related courses. I worship at a New Heritage Baptist Church, Ogbomoso here in Nigeria, where the president of this great citadel is a member of the church. I'm a music minister, though a voluntary music minister in the church. I want to talk about some challenges of documentation that we have in a Nigerian Christian song. Like we can see here, I have here with me Nigerian Christian Church is a singing church. However, little attention is given to proper documentation of song. When we want to classify our music, we have 3 classifications. We sing choruses or indigenous songs, we sing hymns and anthems. From this research, I have 3 bases to establish my point here. The first one is I carried out a research recently in 2020 and from West to West, and I made an advocate for preserving African church music values. When I was going through this research, I discovered that many of our songs are not documented properly. Sometimes they are we just write the lyrics out. And the classical example that we have here is the Nigerian songs led by Professor Monique Ingalls. From that compilation, we discovered that about 90% of songs gathered there were not documented, except for the hymns that were documented in that website. All other lyrics, they are just lyrics that we gather together in most cases. Then the last one is the recent research I carried out in my dissertation. I just finished this year, June. My topic is a theomusicological analysis of music used in Christian worship. From the songs I gathered in churches, I had 486 songs and none was scored. I have choir anthems, 19, only 1 was notated, just a notation now music. So, and this has brought some controversial issues. Recently, we discovered that from the research I carried out on that paper, I used a song, Kabi Esio Sanao, when I was doing my master's program. And I just used anonymous for that music because I didn't know the author. But as I was carrying out the research, I was interviewing some people. One of the interviewees that I interviewed, the interviewees told me that that particular song was composed by Dapo Taiwo, but because there was no proper documentation, so it was tagged anonymous. Then recently, we also know a controversial issue, that really went viral on the internet about a song, Oniduro Mi Oshe. That song's Dr. Alabi referred to an artist that she was the one who sang the song, but eventually she was not the original author, it was another person. So we have these controversial issues when our songs in Nigeria are not really documented properly. So from now, little scholarly work on Nigerian Christian congregational song. Some of the challenges we have is that Nigerian congregation is not professional musician compared with the Western world. Secondly, some choruses are composed spontaneously, and they are also the composers are usually tagged anonymous, like I said the other time. Then thirdly, Nigerian congregation naturally sings from memory with some natural pattern. So these are some challenges that we have that made our songs, or makes, that make our song not to be that documented. Thank you.
Hello. All right, thank you all. So you have a sense of some of the challenges from the side of our colleagues in Nigeria. I want to present some challenges that I want to call, I'm kind of calling North America's global problems. So if I could get my slides back up again. I appreciate so much Brian, who is working with several different screens all at once to make all of this work. But so from my perspective as an American church music professor, I want to talk about 3 major problems that we in North America have when we try to understand or teach church music from other parts of the world. So what I'm calling church music's global problems are common types of misrepresentations and inaccuracies perpetuated by churches and sacred music programs in North America within their teaching and musical performance. So in enumerating these 3 of these problems, I will be drawing from Marissa Moore and apparently recent FHS inauguree Lim Swee Hong's illuminating work on global song within contemporary U.S. mainline Protestantism. This will be supplemented by my own observations from the past 8 years teaching in Baylor's church music program. So when universities and sacred music programs teach or perform congregational music from outside the Euro-American canon, it's highly likely that they are drawing from a repertoire known as global song. So if I get the next slide, please. So Global Song and their proponents and teachers, often, very experienced, very well-intentioned. They understand Global Song to be a culturally and denominationally varied body of ecumenical Christian songs from around the world. But scholars, including Lim Swee Hong and Marissa Moore, have done a critical examination of what they say is an emerging canon, if you will, of commonly sung global songs, revealing that it's much more limited than this. Moore, in fact, goes so far as to define global song as, quote, a Western construction that makes use of specific non-Western musical expressions, often controlled by Euro-American publishers and institutions, end quote. I'll briefly summarize 3 chief problems that stem from this selective repertory. So, global song problem 1. If you'll change the slide, please. Yes. This was I was at curation. I was trying to look for something in curation. I'm just like, spiders, creepy crawlies. That's a fun one. So global song problem number 1 is top-down curation and the personal agendas that often come with these. Scholars have examined the contents of numerous global song songbooks as well as the non-Western songs that make it into North American hymnals. Their research shows that a handful of influential curators have a disproportionate influence in representing global music and in selecting what North American Christians see and hear. Further, many, though not all, global song proponents have a preservationist agenda. In other words, a pre-commitment to traditional music, however they define that category, and sometimes a strong suspicion of mass-mediated popular music, colonial-era hymnody, or hybrid forms of church music. I want to acknowledge that many church music leaders use global song in an attempt to promote anti-racist and decolonial perspectives. But uncritical use of the genre of global song can cover over the complexity and dynamism that characterizes music of Christian communities the world over. Secondly, if I get my second slide, global song problem, the second global song problem is that within published and recorded collections, selections often conform to Western stereotypes of their geographical or cultural places of origin. In his presentation to the Hymn Society a few years ago, Lim Swee Hong noted that not all non-Western congregational songs make their cut as global songs. He notes that what Western Christian audiences seem to want and expect in their global songs is difference. No matter how widespread or well-loved a song may be in its place of origin, it will be left out of a global song collection if it sounds too Western, whether this is too much like Euro-American hymnody or pop rock worship music or African-American gospel music. Many gospel song leaders are very conscientious, and they're concerned to pass down specific details about songs when they share them at churches or conferences. But without a framework of general knowledge to support it, I've seen this oral tradition of global song stories unfortunately end up like a bad game of telephone. In the game of song story telephone, songs and the church cultures from which they come are boiled down to their basest and most stereotype confirming elements. For example, African songs are lively and have to have drums, or Latin American songs are all about celebration. These kinds of stereotypes. So the first 2 problems are caused and exacerbated in part by the third problem. I could get global song problem 3. Which is a lack of interpretive resources to help educate North American church leaders and musicians. And I'm not calling you dummies. These are a really helpful series of books when you're trying to learn about a topic. Though academic research on Christian congregational music and global perspective has exploded in the past decade and a half, pedagogical material for the university classroom and for churches has yet to catch up with it. In other words, scholars may be spoiled for choice, but teachers and church leaders are often still left wanting. As of yet, there are a few, and several of the people in this room have contributed to those, but relatively speaking, there are few rich and nuanced pedagogical resources on church music outside North America and Europe that are accessible to undergraduates, beginning seminarians, and church laypeople. And what resources do exist in the vein of global song publications may unfortunately reinforce some of those stereotypes rather than opening new pathways to understanding. For instance, many music ministers and students that I've spoken with make an assumption that because a song from outside the Euro-American canon has been singled out for inclusion in a global songbook or in their denomination's hymnal, it must mean that song is popular in its place of origin or that it's somehow representative of a given people's music. But given the curatorship problem, Global Song Problem 1, a song's inclusion often means no such thing. It's all too often a product of convenience, connections, and adherence to expectations that are sadly all too often rooted in North American ignorance. So, let's shift from, say, we've laid out all kinds of problems. Hope nobody's depressed. In here, we've been talking about problems for 20 minutes. Now, we're going to suggest some ways to begin to address the problems mentioned on both the Nigerian and American sides here. So, over the course of this doctoral class that I mentioned, we built a website to showcase the musical preferences and perspectives of Nigerian churchgoers. The Nigerian Christian Songs project, and yes, it's, Brian, if you'll bring up the website, we're going to take you on a tour. And what this project does, it functions as both a kind of a multimedia songbook and hymnal companion, using a huge variety of media primary sources as well as written commentary written by Nigerian students themselves to provide insights on congregational music making in Nigeria. So these 6 doctoral students invested a great amount of time and energy generating written and audiovisual materials. Brian, if you'll scroll over to contributors and just kind of scroll down to give people a sense of who all was involved in the project. So these doctoral students designed a detailed online survey for Nigerian churchgoers that garnered over 400 complete responses. We are awash in data, like still. And they conducted many interviews over Zoom with Nigerian church leaders and musicians, this being in the height of COVID times, and they created and curated images and video files of music making in Nigerian Baptist churches and church conventions. While the Nigerian students were the producers of content for this site, 3 Baylor doctoral students provided the technological know-how and were conversation partners throughout the process. And as the instructor, I was sort of project manager and provided the methodological instruction. So the site is the site is organized according to ethnomusicologist Jeff Todd Titan's music culture component model. So if you'll go up, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but in methods, you can read about exactly what we did, about the survey, and then, go to additional sources because, yeah, this was fun to compile, and this was something, everything that we could find on church music in Nigeria, from news sources to academic works to kind of everything in between. So the students chose 26 songs to feature on the website and to build the other elements around. So Brian, if you could please navigate over to songs and click on the songs. Yes. Okay, so here is our list of songs. I think what's interesting about this and what I want to point out relative to my kind of problem statement is that many, if not most, of the 26 songs on this list would not fall into the global song category. They defy many of the neat categories that Western Christians might impose upon the Nigerian church as a precondition for inclusion. For instance, in our survey of over 400 Nigerian churchgoers, the congregational song mentioned more times than any other as a favorite is "Great is Thy Faithfulness." So that one was included. And the Nigerian praise and worship song, Waymaker, was only mentioned by 3 out of 400 plus respondents, but the students decided to include it because they're aware of its international reach. So on this list, you'll find choruses from Yoruba indigenous choruses, popular Nigerian Pentecostal gospel hits, a lot of songs from the 1956 Baptist hymnal, because these are predominantly, not exclusively, but predominantly Baptist folks that were responding to our survey. But I'm going to cede the floor now, and for the tour, my 3 colleagues are going to take you through, and Brian, if you'll scroll back up again, are going to scroll, so repertoires and ideas. Emmanuella will lead us through that. Activities, Matthew Amuro, and materials will be Reverend Ayobami Ayanyinka. So Emmanuella, please please go ahead and present repertories and ideas.
Okay, please permit me share my screen. Okay. Having a tour of the website, I'll be talking about the repertoires and the ideas section of the website. Under this section, we have three categories. We have the genres, the influences, and the languages. So in Nigeria, we in the Nigerian churches, they sing three categories of songs. We have the hymns, we sing gospel music, and in the Nigerian context, they use gospel music interchangeably with Christian music or church music. And this kind of music is, most of the time, they are songs that we use for evangelism. We use, during crusades in order to win people for Christ. And then we also sing the praise and worship songs. Here, these are just short choruses that we sing in the course of service, during the worship service, and they comprise of songs of adoration, praise, thanksgiving, and petitions to God. We also have anthems that choirs will use to minister during a service or during a special program. And these songs are scored or notated. And also we sing hymns in our churches here in Nigeria. And we know hymns are songs that were composed by Western musicians. But now here in Nigeria, we have tried to translate the songs into the different languages that we have here in the country. And then the next section under here is, we talk about influences. Now, the different churches in Nigeria, we have different musical cultures. If one can click on these church music cultures, we will see what other churches or some of the churches in Nigeria, they consider to be their music culture. We also have a section under missions and localization. Here we spoke about how the missionaries came, they introduced music and songs to us, and how we can use them in worship, and how it has also influenced our worship as Africans. But then with time, we discovered that it was actually taking away our way of life, our own cultures. And in the course of this survey, we noticed that most of our songs, they are kind of dying out. So we are encouraged to compose songs in our own languages that will speak best to the people. And now the different languages we use in Nigeria here are English language. This one is spoken, it's used as a general language. It is the official language, but we have the Hausas, those who are from the northern part of Nigeria, they speak the Hausa language. From the east, they speak the Igbo, and then they are actually called the Igbos. We also have the Orobo language. We also have the Yoruba, which is spoken by those from the south. And then the next section here is the ideas. Here we have an overview of what the Nigerians view as music. What do they see music to be, and how do they use it in worship? When you read through this, you will see what Nigerians consider as music. And since you know Nigerians, they are dancing people, they like to always dance. Africans in general, we are people that we like to dance, we like to celebrate. If you read through here, you will see how our music evolved from that which those from the West brought, the missionaries brought. It has evolved to become what we want. And we have tried to put some musical styles. We have tried to change some of the hymns that were brought to fit our own context by putting in our own musical instruments like the talking drum and all that. I'm sorry about that. Under this section, we also have a place for scriptural English. Here we can see the Old Testament and the New Testament. All the books of the Bible, they are here. Now, if you come to this side and you click on Genesis, you will see some songs that can go with that text. You can see like Trust and Obey, Waymaker. It can go with Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. and all that. So music pastors can easily come in. You click there to know what you want to do or what you want to sing in a particular section. So here we have several songs that are under the different books of the Bible and different verses. Also, we have the liturgical function section. Here we have different functions like anniversary, assurance, baby dedication. If you click under these things, you will see songs that we have suggested that can be used during such programs like baptism, baby dedication, closing songs. If I click down on baptism, we will see that there are some songs here that we've suggested. This is just a suggestion. There are many other songs, as Professor Monique said the other time, that all the songs were not included here. So when you click on the baptism, you will see All to Jesus I Surrender, Amazing Grace, Blessed Assurance, In Christ Alone, It Is So Sweet to Trust in Jesus. And also, we try to look at songs that can fit the different seasons of the church calendar. You see the Advent, we have the different seasons, Advent, the Christmas, Epiphany, and the Lent and Easter. Okay, for example, if I click now on Christmas, you will see some songs there. All Hail the Power of Jesus' Name, Blessed Assurance. And then we have this Ogbonu. It's one of the languages, one of the songs that are composed in one of the languages from the East, the eastern part of Nigeria. And there also, we have a section for theological themes. Themes like ascension, faith, grace, healing, Jesus Christ, victory, salvation, resurrection, perseverance, obedience. If, for example, I click now on, let's say, Jesus Christ, I think we will see some songs there that talks about Jesus. Say, All Hail the Power of Jesus' Name, All to Jesus I Surrender, Blessed Assurance, and all that. I should click again on another theme, and let's see what is there. Let me click on obedience. Under this theme, you will see songs like It Is So Sweet to Trust in Jesus, Trust and Obey. So we did this in order to make it easy for music ministers, music pastors, both here in Africa and in the Western world, because here we don't only have songs that are in Yoruba or the other languages that are spoken in Nigeria. We have songs like It Is So Sweet to Trust in Jesus. We have songs like Waymaker. We have songs like Now Thank We All Our God. We have hymns and we have other contemporary songs that are used in worship. So this website can be used by people both here in Nigeria and people who are in the Western world. Thank you so much.
Well, Reverend Amuro is attempting to share his screen. He'll be talking about the activities portion if he's able to get that up. I'll say, if not, of course, we would encourage you all to visit the link and to explore these materials for yourself. Reverend Amuro, are you able to unmute and tell us about activities? Reverend Amuro, if you would just like to talk us through the activities, I think here on our end we can scroll through and show people what's on the tab. If you could talk about it right now, and Brian, if you could go to activities and just.
I don't know if you can see my screen. I'm already sharing. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that.
Thank you.
Miss up there. Okay, like I said initially, we like to demonstrate worship. So there are a lot of activities, musical activities that go on in worship services, as you would. We like to demonstrate a lot of bodily actions, like my sister mentioned. Music for us is a celebration. Music It's also evangelism. There is that aspect of the culture where, we dance, and dancing is our worship, dancing is our witness. So there are a lot of things that we do. When you go through the activity section, you see the overview where we, actually talked about a little of these things that we do in our worship services. And then you have also, in this session, we have a number of people that we interviewed about, their musical culture or musical behaviors in their different churches and what they believe music do for their worship services. And, you will get a lot of ideas listening to some of those interviews that we have on that in that this thing. And then there is a particular thing that we do that probably it is peculiar to Nigerian Christians, but it's a musical activity that we do. And this is during the offertory period. Some tradition, you call it a time where you have to, give an offering or give a seed in the worship service. For some, when I was growing up, we used to sing a hymn when we are doing this activity. But now, due to, this idea of bringing the people back to their base to embody those cultural activities that we do that we're used to in our worship, this gradually crept into the church and is now a norm. It's practiced almost everywhere in Nigeria. I don't know, maybe if you can spare some two minutes, you will. So this is, okay, that's, I don't know if you heard that, that's a practical example of what I'm talking about. But we also have structured music ministry activity in our churches. You have the male-female choir in various churches. You have the teenagers youth choir. You have the main sanctuary choir. For most of churches, you have this main sanctuary choir that is used for the worship service. So these music activities here is actually, divided among various age groups. In some native churches, some churches where you have indigenous language being spoken, like in the Yoruba, you have society choirs, choir that belongs or that groups form within the church. So you also have, in my place, for instance, you have the Urobo choir. In some places, you have the indigenous ensemble, which is mostly local instruments. One thing, maybe because of the economy, you don't see most churches having this Western orchestra, but we have indigenous instrumental ensemble that we use in our worship services. They are quite energetic, activities, things that drive our worship services, and they let us, express our worship with our cultural idioms, with our cultural language, and with the things that we are familiar with. I hope you get to know more of these sessions as you go through them. Thank you so much.
Ayobami, if you are having
I'm
difficulty
coming.
sharing,
Yes.
we can share
Okay.
from our end.
Okay, I'm there now.
Excellent.
My colleagues have spoken about songs, repertoires, ideas, activities. I am to speak on materials. From materials here, we have the overview, about just a brief introduction about materials that we use in worship, like a musical instrument, technology, media. Then we have space for singing and making music in the congregation. Like we are talking about the space for the choir now. Some choir seats directly behind the officiating ministers, while some sit beside the pew while they minister. Sometimes when choir wants to sing, sometimes they go out in order for the congregation to really see them, to see them clearly. Also from the materials, we have the instruments. There are many musical instruments we use in Nigerian context here. We have, it is a combination of Western and African music instruments. Like on my hand here, it may be difficult for us to see. I've been trying to add it. We have sakara, we have saxophone of different kinds, like a alto, tenor, and a soprano saxophone. We have tambourine, we use bell, we use a sekere, which we call guards. We use trap sets, a lead guitar, bass guitar, we use congas, maracas, we use omele, and we use talking drum. We also use organ, keyboard, and akuba in our worship. We use yalu and some other musical instruments. So what I'm trying to say is that we use a combination of Western and African musical instruments. We also use keyboard in our worship services. Now, these are the musical instruments that we use in worship. We use it to accompany hymns. We use it to accompany choruses and our indigenous songs. We use it to accompany choir rendition when the choir is ministering in worship. Also, from the material as well, we also, like I mentioned the other time, the technology, the media, and the space that we use in worship. For example, my colleagues have spoken about how Nigerian church dances in worship. We love to dance very well. From the materials here, we have some other methods by which we do that, like a music culture model. Then we have many things about music and some other additional sources. So when we sing in worship, like my brother has shown us the other time, we see how we reflect our culture, even our dressing, our attire we dress to church. All of this, they speak about our cultural, they speak volume about our culture in worship. And we also go along with worship. The other time when I was mentioning score music, Nigerian churches have also improved in some of our indigenous hymns, not only Western hymns that we sing in worship, we also sing indigenous hymns. And some of these indigenous hymns, they are also scored. We have some scholars who have worked on that in our Nigerian worship. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for that wonderful tour of the resource. Now, one thing that we haven't talked about so much, so that is all of everything around the songs. So kind of a deep contextualization of singing practices from this group of Nigerian churches. So we would like to take a few minutes and introduce a few songs. So why don't we turn to, let's see, who is first? Emmanuella, you were going to share with us Now Thank We All Our God in English and Yoruba.
Okay, we will sing the first and the third stanza in English, and the second stanza we will all sing in Yoruba language. So let's sing together. Now thank we all our God. We hearts and hands and voices, who wondrous things has done, in whom his word rejoices, who from our mother's arms has blessed us on our way.
We
Countless gift of love, and still he has to lay. More, Mati wasile lai, ayoti kolopi, ombukun yodeti wa bawa monure. O agbabadamu, yọ̀wá nínú ibi, láyé àti lọ́run. All praise and thanks to God, the Father now be given, the Son and Spirit blessed, who reign in highest heaven. The one eternal God, whom heaven and adore, for thus it was, is now, and shall be evermore.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for that rich alto bass. I think altos and basses in the room were rejoicing at the with that one. Let's see, Ayobami, you were going to sing I'll Bless the Lord at All Times.
Okay. Let me also share the screen. The song is on the website so that we can all see it together.
So Brian, go to the website.
Here, from the repertoires.
I'll bless the Lord at all times.
From the songs. From the songs, the song is I'll bless the Lord at all times. I bless the Lord at all times. Basically, it is from Psalm 34, verses 1 through 4. That's, KJV version is the exact music. Now, I did a little accompaniment with it. Let's just listen to it. I think we can hear. I'll bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. Then we we take it the second time. I bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. Thank you for listening. God bless.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much. And for a song that I chose from the website, if you could please navigate to Waymaker, Brian. I do enjoy singing and playing this song. I think probably the last thing you all need to hear is another white American cover of the song Waymaker. So if you haven't seen the original version, which is by worship leader Sinach, Pentecostal Nigerian worship leader, it's fabulous. If we could, yes, thank you. If we could watch, let's just watch a chorus and a verse of the Waymaker, the official music video.
Our midst, I worship you. I worship you.
Can you maximize the screen?
You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Hey, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So many buttons. I know. Just to briefly, we want to wrap things up with a short kind of conclusion of how we hope that this website solves some of the problems that we mentioned earlier, as well as some hopes for how you might use the website. So, Emmanuella?
Oh, thank you so much. In the course of our survey, we got to understand that most churches, they no longer sing congregational hymns. They don't sing hymns in their churches. So the aspect of congregational hymn singing is gradually dying out of, especially the Baptist churches here in Nigeria. So when we carry out this survey, we discovered that. And now, these websites that we have put up together, we believe that it will go a long way to strengthen congregational hymn singing, since we have specified the different programs, the different themes, and some songs, and of which most of them are hymns. This will enable most of the choir leaders, the music ministers, for them to easily have access to songs or hymns that they can actually sing in different programs or different occasions that require singing. So this website will go a long way to strengthen that aspect. And then also the congregational or the cross-cultural differences that I spoke of from the beginning. You see, we have songs in this website that are in languages, in the different languages that are spoken here in Nigeria. We have songs in Yoruba. For example, we just sang the hymn, Now Thank We All Our God, in English and in Yoruba. On the website, we have all the lyrics of the complete song of the 3 stanzas in Yoruba language. If a music minister finds himself in a place where it is an indigenous church where they don't speak English and all that, he can easily get to the website to get the lyrics of those songs and give the congregation to sing, lead the congregation to sing. So I believe that this website will help to bridge that gap, the cultural differences, because we have repertoires in different languages, in different musical styles that they can use in the course of the worship service. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Ayobami Ayanyinka, some final thoughts?
Okay, let me add a little to what she just said now. I also want, let me quickly share a short screen. Just permit me to share a screen now. Okay, and that's from, sorry. Where is this? Okay, let me say what I want to say. Now, what I want to add to what she said is that from our from our website here, apart from the material being useful for the church, and to the church at large, theological institution can as well use the material while teaching in class. It will also be helpful during class period. For instance, after we had concluded the survey, I have used it in my to teach my classes several times in the seminary. I've also introduced it to some other teachers too. So it is good that, the website is designed in a way that anyone can go there easily and get some materials to use in class. Lecturers can go there. Students as well can also go there. Even during the class, just give them a link, then they will be there. Then we can teach from that one. Let me also state that so far, we are talking about Nigerian music. We have already established the fact that our documentation is not that really okay. However, I should not forget to mention that work has been done so far. There is development in our documentation of music. What I wanted to share on my screen that I see that it will waste our time is that right now in Nigeria Baptist Theological Seminary, there's a music school of which we are part of. So, and lecturers there, we have some lecturers who are compositional major. So when they compose songs, they notate their songs, they document their songs properly. We also have Professor Adedeji. If you go online, you will see many of his works that he has done, and he has really scored them very properly that can also be of use. Like that, we have some organists in churches that are also doing something about that. So that's the development so far that I think it will be helpful for us to add to our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Matthew Amuro, final thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that what we have there. Okay, I would say that what we have is actually work in progress. And I would encourage anyone to please take a tour around this particular website. And it's our hope that the development will continue and more materials will be added. And also, one peculiarity about this website is the fact that you will be able to engage with the local instruments. With time, much more musical activities and behaviors will be uploaded, and hopefully we'll be able to enrich the global musical context of worship. Thank you.
Thank you. And just, I don't have many more thoughts beyond those. I mean, we hope that, as they've said, that the Nigerian Christian Songs website documents and preserves Nigerian Christian songs in all of their variety, that it amplifies a new set of voices in the conversation about hymnody, that it breaks down some of these harmful stereotypes that we mentioned earlier by showcasing, again, the variety of songs that are meaningful, and then that it provides a useful resource for church musicians, researchers, and teachers. And so next slide, please. Save the date. So we had a launch party for when version 1.0 of this website came out, and we're going to have another launch party for Nigerian Christian Songs website 2.0, when the new set of students, we're going to take some of the ideas and some of the comments and critiques that came from the first round of the website and seek to fill in some of the gaps, to add new songs, to broaden the range of traditions beyond the Baptist tradition is wonderful. We realize that the website right now is pretty heavily Baptist, so going to look a little bit beyond that, but we're looking at probably the morning Central Time, afternoon time in late afternoon in Nigeria of December 8th. And so please do get in contact with me if you have any questions. And I hope it would be great to see many of you on Zoom in December for launch 2.0. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
We do not have time for questions, but thank you very much. We need to start preparing for our next presentation. Feel free to talk to Dr. Ingalls off to the side or in any of our common areas. Thank you so much
and thank
for
you,
facilitating this.
Thank you, and thank you to, I want to thank especially Matthew, Emmanuella, and Ayobami who are here. Can you give them a round of applause for them?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope you hear the clapping. I know you can't see me or anyone in the room,
appreciate
but
you too.
yeah, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. It was such a pleasure to have you here virtually in Washington, D.C. today.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.